Hello everyone and welcome to SlipjointSawyer. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking through the 10 reasons why you should own a traditional knife. So we'll start off with number one right at the very top, which is the number one reason I think you should own one, is history. All of these patterns have their own sort of history in different ways, whether it would be if you're interested in collecting older knives. So this is a Remington Jack from the 1930s, I believe, based on the tang stamp just here. The knife made really well back then, excellent sort of quality control in a carbon steel, and one that has definitely lasted the test of time as it's coming up to 90 plus years sort of this year. Or whether you want to go collecting more of a modern variation of a traditional knife, which this is the Congress. And as many of you will know, Abraham Lincoln was one to carry the Congress, and it was actually a knife that he had on him when he was assassinated. So standard sort of Congress pattern, you have the four blades that sort of interlock into the middle there on that standard sort of bow shape. Or you could even go a different route, maybe if you wanted to start collecting, you know, we've got one here, so sort of an old Cub Scout knife. This is from a company that doesn't make USA knives anymore. Got Camillus, this was made in New York. Go along and collect things, maybe it's a knife from your childhood, or even along the lines of it could also be a knife that maybe your father or your grandfather owns. This is an old USA made old timer 80T. Very nice piece of history. You see there you've got the USA tang stamp and 80T. Next up we have sort of the pattern variation. So as you can see there is quite a wide variety of knives here. You've got everything. You've got a small sort of sow belly here. This one's by Rough Rider, and this is the model number 2492, and that's in 440A steel. Or you have other things like the Case toothpick, and this is in genuine stag with their true sharp stainless steel. Things, you've got a half whittler here from Case as well in Canyon jigged bone, two-bladed design, clip blade and a pen blade. Cotton sampler, used when the cotton trade was big. You'd stick the blade in, you'd be able to test what the quality of the cotton by rubbing on this flat part of the tang. But just the variation in designs and patterns and things you can collect is just huge. You can see even well, there's just so many to collect. You've got, you know, a canoe here, a trapper, a large stockman, got medium stockmans, all of which you can see are very different. And that sort of leads me on to my next sort of point, which is the different types of handle variation. So you can see here, this little section here, these are all medium stockmans. I've got two old timers, an Uncle Henry, a Case and a Buck, and each one has a different handle material. You have this 34 OTW in this really wonderful desert ironwood, and then another 34 OT in this sort of laminated wood. It's part of their Heritage series. And then the Uncle Henry version, which I always forget the model number of, is 834UH, and that's in the Staglon. And then Case have one here. This is just in like a navy blue synthetic. And then an offering from Buck in their sort of laminated rosewood. So there's loads of different options, and that's not it. There is more. You've got smooth bone, jigged bone, Delrin, different types of synthetic, jigged synthetic. There's just so many different options in what you can pick from. I do really feel this is one of the main reasons why I'm really sort of drawn to these knives. Along with that, they offer multiple blades. Again, back to the Stockman. I think we'll go with this. We'll go with this Buck 301 Stockman. So you can see you have a blade designed for individual tasks. So you've got like a main clip point blade here. You've got a sheep's foot blade here with a nice flat and nice tip on it for doing draw cuts, things like that. All those sorts of jobs. Farmers would also use knives like this because they have different purposes. Each sort of blade has its own set use. And then we all know the spay blade was used to spay animals and cattle, things like that. Obviously it probably would have been a larger spay blade, maybe on a trapper. But again, another blade fit for purpose. And they do offer 3 blades on one knife, so you know you can be able to last a full day without worrying if you're going to have a sharp blade on you or not. Even sort of different options with 2 blades is a nice Nice way to go. You've got this canoe here from Rough Rider in sort of a winter bottom jigged bone style handles. Got this lovely sort of drop point blade and then a pen blade on the other side. Another sort of excellent option for multiple blades. And leaning on to the multiple blades, and this sort of price range of knives is sort of like the lower to mid-range traditional knives. They do offer sort of a budget steel, but don't be sort of turned off by that, because budget steel is really easy to maintain. For example, we have, let's go with this Rough Rider Barlow here. So this is in their T10 carbon steel. So you can see it's picking up a patina, but if this goes a little bit dull, I know I can strop it back and forth maybe 6 or 7 times and I'll have that mirror sort of razor edge on it. And their T10 carbon steel, it gets ridiculously sharp. Like, honestly, razor sharp, like straight razor sharp. Other things like that, I've got a Imperial IMP 22 here. Another one, budget knife, cost me maybe £15, maybe $12 I think it is in the US. It's got 7 CR steel on it. Nice sort of sod buster design, really comfortable in the hand, but it does have an excellent steel to maintain easily on the job. You could strop this up on your break, strop it up on your lunch. Maybe you take a little pocket sharpener, something like the Victorinox pocket steel. You could tune it up on your break whenever you get 2 minutes. And they're just really easy to maintain and look after. Just a bit of oil, give them the easiest little tiny bit of clean, and you'd be good to go. You haven't got to worry about, oh, is this steel too sharp for me? If it goes dull, am I going to be able to maintain it? With this sort of line of steels, you know that it's going to be easy to maintain. You're going to keep a screaming edge, and you can get that edge back really, really quickly. Next up, we have inexpensive. As I was saying, most of these are sort of in the budget era. Got everything from the cheapest one, I think, being actually this IMP 22 was about £15, ranging up to, what's the most expensive one I've got here? Maybe this 75 Stockman, which was about £70 here in the UK. But it's still, it's inexpensive. I mean, if you can't afford a large Stockman from Case, you can get, I don't know, a large Stockman from Rough Rider, or you get this sort of lumberjack Stockman offering from Oldtimer, and this has the saw cut bone handles, 9 CR blade steel, absolutely exceptional knife from them. You know, you get the standard Stockman pattern, you get this really nice clip point blade, you have a sheep's foot blade, and then you get the spay blade on there as well. So it's not all about, oh, I've got to spend a lot of money to get a good quality knife. You can get quality for not a lot of money, and that is, inexperience is what lends you to the hobby, because you can spend not a lot of money and collect a lot of these patterns. Like a lot of these Rough Riders are between $15 and $20, £15-20. You can pick them up easily. Got a Peanut here, another very inexpensive one, but a good pattern with history, and you can see the fit and finish on it is phenomenal. And you've got that saw cut bone we're all a huge fan of. You get a nice little sort of a spear blade, pen blade on this, and then you get a little tiny pen blade on the rear. What's not to love? Inexpensive knives. You can fuel your hobby without having to break the bank. Fantastic idea. Next up, we have sort of a conversation starter. Things that I would pick out of here to be a conversation starter. Just for example, the bone on this A34 OT, the Desert Ironwood handle. I mean, who's going to look at that and get offended by that? They're so unintimidating, these sorts of knives. You have this beautiful wood, great conversation starter, as well as the bone on this 75 Stockman from Case, this old red bone. Something else that's going to draw attention rather than getting drawn attention to the blade and maybe getting, you know, not sort of fearful of it, but when they're not sort of used to being around knives. Again, jigged handle here, jig synthetic from Case, and this olive drab colour, another one, really, really beautiful handle material. I think my all-time conversation starter though would have to be this. So I think they marketed it as the Christmas tree edition, something along those lines, back in the 30s when it was released. But look at the colouring in there. But there's different sort of coloured, sparkling, glittery, sort of like plastic handles. Cheap, inexpensive, yes, but someone says, oh, what's that? I say, oh, it's a Remington, I picked it up, it's from the 1930s. What's not to love about that? They're going to be more interested in the history of the knife than going, oh, he's carrying a knife, why is he doing that? Another fantastic piece. And then we've got number 9, so 2 left. They have personality, and I'm not hating on modern knives. If you're into modern knives, that's absolutely fantastic. Enjoy your hobby. collect what you love. I'm not here to tell anyone any different. But for me, I find a lot of these knives have more personality than a modern knife. Going back to saying that Remington Jack, lots of personality. It's been loved and owned by, it could have been owned by 4 or 5 people before me, or one owner from new. I don't know. It was bought on the secondary market, but things like that. Along with this 80T, the USA made one, you can tell it's been loved and used by someone. The sheep's foot blade, it's been used a phenomenal amount. It's actually got a curved up on the belly now. All these things give personality to the knife. Even newer ones, indeed, as well. Things like, what have we got here? The 301 Stockman again. It's a new knife, yes, but it sparks back in history, and you can think like where this pattern started, why it was developed, along those sorts of lines. And even stuff like a saw cut bone, I think this adds a hell of a lot of personality to a knife. I mean, what's not to love about saw cut bone? Absolutely wonderful. And then finally, number 10, got to add some class to your EDC. If you love carrying modern knives, fantastic, I said it before, but I do think these add a certain sort of class to your carry. Anything along the lines of like a case medium Stockman, very classy looking knife. You get a wonderful clip point blade, sheep's foot blade, and a little pen blade on there as well. This is in their true sharp stainless steel. Something else that I'd class to your carry. Just so much to pick from. Back to the sow belly. This one really, I feel, adds a lot of class to my carry. It's a pattern from history. It's a Tony Bowes design, and you have that sort of wonderful shape that people know and love. So there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I know it's a bit of a rambly video. Just want to share my sort of feelings and thoughts on why, on like the 10 sort of reasons why I think you should own a traditional knife. I really hope you enjoyed this. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.